Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narasimhan. All of Bharat is celebrating Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel's 150th birth anniversary. The forgotten founding father of independent Bharat, or one of the key instruments who helped stitch together Bharat as we know it today, the map itself. Now, when Bharat awakened to freedom in August 1947, it did not rise as a single cohesive nation. The subcontinent was a complex map of over 560 princely states, each with its own ruler, currency, army, and internal administration. Many of these states were uncertain about joining the Indian Union, while others harbored ambitions of independence. In the midst of this political chaos stood one man, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, whose determination, foresight, statesmanship transformed an uncertain geographical entity into a united political nation that we know as Bharat today. Despite his towering contributions, Congress denied Sardar Patel the Bharat Ratna up until the 90s. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru received it immediately. Some say he gave it to himself. Patel's realism clashed with Nehru's idealism, many say. His pragmatism challenged Jawaharlal Nehru's romanticism. So the Congress airbrushed him from textbooks, downplayed his contributions, and ensured the Nehru-Gandhi family became synonymous with Bharat's political history, and all other contributors, including the likes of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and others, were marginalized. Now, the schisms between Nehru and Patel are well brought out in Chandrachud Ghosh's book, India, the Birth of a Republic. I've got a copy of this, in which, in one of the chapters titled Nehru's Supremacy, it's chronicled that Nehru insisted on handling Jammu and Kashmir personally, sidelining Sardar Patel, and these fissures happened. And somewhere, even though the provinces, the Congress provinces, 12 out of the 15 wanted Sardar Patel to become the next Congress president after Maulana Azad, it was by Gandhi's writ that it was said that it will be Jawaharlal Nehru. Now, Maulana Azad and also Kripalani, all of them have been quoted later on speaking to journalists, and it's chronicled in the book. We'll come to that in a bit. Meanwhile, Nehru's move led to complications. Sardar Patel warned him about internationalizing the dispute, but Nehru prevailed. The result, Article 370, special status, and a wound that lasted for 7 decades. Almost 8 decades later, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, yet again reviving Sardar Patel's unifying vision in both spirit and policy. Now, on Sardar Patel's 150th birth anniversary, Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the nation from Ekta Nagar, Kevadia, Gujarat, launching a sharp attack on past Congress governments over issues of national security and unity. We discuss this with our special panel today, the Bharat that could have been under Sardar Patel. We'll also play out what Prime Minister Narendra Modi said at Ekta Nagar in his address.
आजादी के बाद जिन लोगों को देश ने दायित्व सौंपा, उन्हीं लोगों ने वी द पीपल की स्पिरिट की हत्या करने का प्रयास किया। उन्होंने अपनी सोच और विचारधारा से अलग हर व्यक्ति और संगठन का तिरस्कार किया। एक पार्टी, एक परिवार के बाहर हर व्यक्ति और हर विचार को अछूत बनाने की भरसक कोशिश हुई। आजादी के बाद 550 से ज्यादा रियासतों को एक साथ जोड़ने का असंभव कार्य को उन्होंने संभव करके दिखा दिया। एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत का विचार उनके लिए सर्वोपरि था। सरदार साहब चाहते थे जैसे उन्होंने बाकी रियासतों का विलय किया, वैसे ही पूरे कश्मीर का विलय हो। लेकिन नेहरू जी ने उनकी वो इच्छा पूरी नहीं होने दी। कश्मीर को अलग संविधान और अलग निशान से बांट दिया गया। कांग्रेस की लचर नीतियों के कारण कश्मीर का एक हिस्सा पाकिस्तान के अवैध कब्जे में चला गया।
Let's go straight across to our guest now. Priyam Gandhi Modi, Director, Vishwamitra Research Foundation with us. Sanjay Jha, author, analyst, commentator. Rashid Kidwai, senior journalist and who's seen many decades of politics, governance, policy under the Congress-led governments in the past. And he's seen the last decade and a half under PM Modi. Arun Anand, author and columnist. And Chandrachud Ghosh, author of this book that I'm going to quote quite liberally from today. 1947 to 1957, India, the birth of a republic. My namaste and Jai Hind to everybody. Thank you for joining us in this special conversation, and let's try and make it intellectual, engaging and not rabble-rousing, and that's the promise that I will elicit out of you, and somewhere would also try to stow that same line myself. Now, Chandrachud Ghosh, one of the aspects is Nehru supremacy. This is the chapter, Nehru supremacy, where you first chronicle the fissures started with the Congress elections. And then you also say that this is what it is. Now, page 123, this is where it all started. I have always said that not Rajaji nor Sardar Vallabhbhai but Jawahar will be my successor. He predicted, when I am gone, he will do what I am doing now. And a few months later, Jawaharlal Nehru clarified, saying he never accepted my method in entirety. He has frankly criticized it and he has yet faithfully carried out the Congress policy largely influenced by me. And then he says, those like Sardar Vallabhbhai who have followed me without question cannot be called heirs. And everybody admits that Jawaharlal has a drive and no one else has the same in the same measure. But in the next page, you also quote what Azad and Kripalani were aware of Patel's willingness to become the president when they canvassed support for Nehru. And you also say 12 out of the 15 provinces named Sardar Patel and that he was unhappy. Further on in page 125, you say that these differences started creeping in on the 30th of December 1946 itself, where Jawaharlal went complaining to Mahatma Gandhi, and Mahatma Gandhi then wrote to Patel also. And Patel responded saying somebody is filling your ears and they're full of canards. So these fissures had started. So somewhere had Nehru already decided that he's going to sideline Patel. And did Bharat lose out on perhaps what could have been a different direction altogether, those 10 years? Because Maulana Azad says, lamented his memoirs compiled during 1956-57. Nehru took charge as President 6 July AICC meeting, and he says, I can never forgive myself, and I think that if I had not committed these mistakes, perhaps history of the last 10 years would have been very different. So someone like Maulana Azad, who under Nehru's cabinet was the first education minister of the country, says this. So Chandrachud Ghosh, open this up. And then let's bring in the Kashmir aspect too. Yeah.
Thanks, Anand. Before I say anything, I would like to remind everyone in the panel that these are not my words. So I have not given my opinion. These are words of the stalwarts who were leading India into freedom and then after independence guiding India into the new age. So, but if we look carefully, there has been a very methodical way of presenting the Nehru-Gandhi family in a particular way that is the pinnacle, and others were also there, also ran, also fought. And whenever this narrative is challenged, it is portrayed, for instance, with Sardar Patel as much as with Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, that they had very good and friendly relations. There was absolutely no discord between them. There was no effort to suppress their emergence or their possibilities, whatever promise they held. There was no interference or anything. So that's a very carefully constructed narrative which has been presented for many decades. And now as documents, as declassified documents keep coming out, it's very difficult to hold on to that old style story. So what we clearly see is that there was a power tussle, there was a power struggle, and as Maulana Azad very clearly regretted, he said that he regretted the decision to promote Panditji during the 1946 presidential elections, where he didn't get the sanction from the provinces, from the British Indian provinces. So what could have happened is a very interesting way of speculating, but given the style of working between the two, the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister, and their way of looking at problems, the solutions that they looked at, and how they approached opposition parties, for instance, the Communist Party and although RSS was not a political party, but Pandit Nehru's approach to the RSS was quite paranoid. And although, I mean, Sardar Patel was constantly trying to ensure him that it is not as big a threat as you're imagining it to be, but Pandit Nehru took it as the prime threat to the nation. So so there are innumerable instances of differences in terms of policy matters. I'm not talking of personal differences. Personal differences were there, but they were very cordial to each other. They had respect with each other. But we are not talking of, the drawing room discussions here. We're talking about a nation building exercise. So we have to look at the policy differences. And those differences were very much there. There is no issue on papering them up. And I believe that when Maulana Azad said that it would have been a different India, it truly could have been a very different India.
Lord Mountbatten, 127, says Gandhi's absence from celebrations in Delhi 15th August is of course intentional. He's never given 3rd June plan as unqualified blessing. And also when Gandhi expressed his wish to spend the rest of his life in Pakistan, Mountbatten noted this will infuriate Jinnah but will be a great relief to the Congress for, as I have said before, his influence is largely negative or even destructive and directed against the only man who has his feet firmly on the ground, Vallabhbhai Patel. So there were differences in the way they wanted to run and what happened. So, if many would say कि माजी पर क्यों जा रहे, why are we going back into the past? But it's also because the Prime Minister believes, and many believe, arguably, Sanjay Jhaji, that Bharat's course would have been very different. And we'll come to the Jammu Kashmir issue also now, that had it been left for Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel to handle. And Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel died a broken man. He died before his time, or he perished before his time because of the way he was treated in these last 4 or 5 years between 1946 to 1950. Ji, your thoughts. Namaste.
Yep. Anand, good evening to you. In the interest of a fair debate, give me as much time as you gave the author whose book you are promoting on your show today. And I have also come very prepared for this program. Like the author says, these are not my words, these are the words of the veterans. I have come with the words actually written or spoken by Sardar Patel. I want to tell you openly on your program, we live in a world of propaganda, disinformation and misinformation, including a lot of new historians who have suddenly emerged with their right-wing ideology out to distort the truth. So without interruption, I'm now going to give you some quotes of Sardar Patel, which tell you why the author has actually spoken a blatant lie on your program. You know what he said before I came on? That Sardar Patel did not have those apprehensions that Pandit Nehru had about the RSS being a threat. Now let me give you a couple of quotes. I'm quoting Sardar Patel. He, in a letter to Shama Prasad Mukherjee, 18th July 1948, Sardar Patel's words, the activities of the RSS constituted a clear threat to the existence of the government and are the words of Sardar Patel. Now let me give the second one. And I'll quote directly, so I'm not going by memory. The RSS men expressed joy and distributed sweets after Gandhiji's death, told to Mr. M.S. Golwalkar, September 19, 1948. A third one. All the speeches were full of communal poison. It was not necessary to spread poison in order to induce the Hindus and organize for their protection. Once again, September 19, 1948. Now listen to these next very, very important, Anand, if you want to have not a propaganda debate, but a very dispassionate and a neutral conversation. Hear this part very carefully. Do not be led away that Hinduism is in danger. Hinduism can never be in danger in India. When I hear some people talking about Hinduism being in danger, I feel that they are going the wrong way. Do not indulge in scaremongering for selfish ends. And one more, because I think you will have a second round of debate. The members of the RSS who claim to be defenders of Hinduism, but they do not know that Hinduism cannot be saved by Rowdyism. This is Sardar Patel telling you about the climate of hate distrust created by the RSS and the Hindu Mahasabha that led to Gandhiji's death, and his sheer contempt for the RSS and the Hindu Mahasabha and the Jansangh ideology that has since continued to divide India. And last but not the least,
Ji.
in February 1949, and this is very important,
Ji.
one of the things that must be put down is the idea of Hindu Raj. It is a mad idea. It will kill the soul of India. I challenge Mr. Ghosh or anybody on this program to tell me that I have not quoted Sardar Patel himself. End of debate.
Okay. Arun Anand? Okay, Chandrachud Ghosh wants a rebuttal, so can we allow him a rebuttal and then I'll bring you in, Arun Anand?
Very quick one.
Yeah.
A very brief one. In fact, I mean, the Congress has propagated propaganda and distortion of history for so long that any counter to them seems very shocking, and they are shocked that there could be an alternative version to what they have been preaching for 7 or 8 decades. What Mr. Jha presented, he called what I said is as a blatant lies. But I wish Mr. Jha had expanded his scope of reading and expanded the scope of his preparations, where, we can go into an extended debate. This can be because this is not about RSS, this is about Sardar Patel.
Right.
So I will just give one counter to his arguments.
Right.
All those quotations which he presented are factually true. I am not disputing a single one. But they are selected in a way to portray a particular angle. Now, I will not go into extended the answers. Just one point. I have given much more in the book, on my latest book on the RSS. I am not an RSS man, and it is not my brief to defend RSS. I present factual history, and whatever name you might like to call me, you feel free to do that. I don't mind at all.
Right.
Coming from the Congress line of discussion, I take it as a badge of honor. But Sardar Patel was keen to co-opt RSS into the Congress party. Any organization which you think is a threat to the state and is a terrorist organization spreading poison of hatred, why would any person in his right mind want that organization to be merged with the Congress party?
Right. Right. So that's your other book on the RSS itself. There are other arguments too. In fact, Nehru had gone complaining to Gandhi that it was Sardar Patel who was increasingly becoming communal. So if you have to go by what Mr. Sanjay Jha is saying, then is Jawaharlal Nehru wrong? And is the then Congress president at that time, the General Secretary, a lady, is she wrong? Because Sardar Patel quotes her and says that she's been filling your ears. And there has been some misappropriation of the truths. But Arun Anand, how would you want to respond to this? That the Congress believes that Sardar Patel was somebody who backed Nehru to the hilt and who hated the RSS, and now something that's been said again by the Karnataka Chief Minister also, that Sardar Patel banned RSS, so you should also ban RSS.
So as my fellow panelist has quoted, some comments, and as Mr. Chandrachud Ghosh also said, that at times, these are complex issues. We tend to quote things selectively. So I will also quote from the Sardar Patel's correspondence, and I hope not to get interrupted. See, Nehru had a known disliking for RSS. So on 26th February 1948, he writes a letter to Sardar Patel because RSS was banned in the first week of February in wake of Mahatma Gandhi's assassination. The ban was later lifted because nothing was proved. So I quote first from Nehru's letter, where he was trying to Pandit Nehru's letter, where he was apparently raising a false bogey against RSS. So I quote. So he writes on 26 February 1948 to Sardar Patel, the Delhi police has apparently a good number of sympathizers with the RSS. It may not be easy to deal with all of them, but I think something more than has been done can be undertaken. So, and then he again says, that the cops have a habit of slackening off after the spurt. What is more dangerous is that a number of them appear to sympathize with the RSS. Next day, Sardar Patel replies to Pandit Nehru. So he says, and I quote, I have kept myself almost in daily touch with the progress of the investigation regarding Bapu's assassination case. All the main accused have been given long and detailed statements of their activities. In one case, the statement extends to 90 typed pages. From their statements, it is quite clear that no part of conspiracy took place in Delhi. The centers of activity were Pune, Bombay, Ahmednagar, and Gwalior. Delhi was, of course, a terminating point of their activity, but by no means its center. Nor do they seem to have spent more than a day or two at time. Now, the most important part. It also clearly emerges from these statements that RSS was not involved in it at all. It also appeared that the conspiracy was limited to some 10 men. And then he again says, that every item of information that is being communicated to us through sources known and unknown, real, anonymous, or pseudonymous, is being investigated. More than 90% of these have been found to be pure imagination. Most of these have been directed to the activities of the RSS men in various centers. And I will quote just another entry of, that's generally not available. Maniben Patel, who was daughter of Sardar Patel, also the caretaker, companion, and private secretary. So she made an entry on 3rd of August, 11 a.m. 1949, and where Sardar Patel is being quoted as saying that Glad Golwalkar has been released from the prison. So I have many other quotes also. And one more thing, when the correspondence was happening between Golwalkar, who was the RSS second chief, and Sardar Patel. You know how Sardar Patel was addressing Golwalkar? Bhai Shri Golwalkar. So I rest my case for the time being now.
So there are always different passages of time and different times where opinions are shared and each can quote. But eventually, where was the opinion? Where did the opinion lie? But I have a larger question. The larger question is not about RSS, etc. It's about who should have been the right leader and who should have been selected. Now, I'm just going to quote again page 124. Patel never Azad more bitterly than, both Azad and Kripalani were aware of Patel's willingness to become the next president when they canvassed support for Nehru and later came to regret it. Azad more bitterly than Kripalani. Now, he says, and Chandrachud is quoting there, Patel never forgave me for that. Kripalani later told journalist Durga Das. Azad called his support to Nehru over Patel the greatest blunder of his political life. He claimed that Patel would have never committed the mistake of Jawaharlal, which gave Mr. Jinnah the opportunity of sabotaging the cabinet mission plan. I can never forgive myself, and I think that if I had not committed these mistakes, perhaps the history of the last 10 years would have been different. That's what he said. This is about the nation, the course the nation could have taken or that traversed. Rashid Kidwai and then Priyam Gandhi Modi. Priyam Gandhi Modi, thank you for your patience. Just getting Rashid Kidwai on this, and then I'll come to you. I know there is a lot to share and there is a lot to say, but the larger question is, would Bharat have taken a different direction altogether? Not just with respect to Jammu Kashmir, but overall too. And we should not forget, viewers and to our panelists, that Bharat was partitioned on religious lines. Hindustan for Hindus and Pakistan for Muslims. That's how it was partitioned. So a lot of the conversations which are happening around that time have to be seen from that prism, that they said that Hindustan is supposed to be for Hindus. That's where the conversation came at that time. Whether or not how it shaped and evolved and what our leaders decided Bharat's approach should be, and Bharat should be in nature, inclusive, etc. and all encompassing, and anybody and everybody who wants to stay here can stay. But the partition happened on religious lines. Rashid Kidwai, thank you for your patience. Ji.
Yeah. Thank you, Anand. And like my distinguished fellow panelists, I am not going to quote, because quotes are can be, as our panelists would also say, it is very selective. The key point here, Anand, we must remember, there is no if and but in history. History, good, bad, ugly, it shapes as per events, and that's how our history is also shaped. When we talk about partition, we must also remember, instead of blaming one another, Jinnah of course needs to be blamed and identified. There were also colonial powers, and colonial powers had vested interest in propping up Pakistan as a frontline state against the Soviet Union. So the British and Americans, they would have created, regardless of Jinnah or Muslim League or so, because they wanted a buffer state and they wanted to have a sort of colony of their own. This is also there in that in British Museum. Several documents are there that point to that direction. We must also remember, Anand, that whether it was Maulana Azad, Rajaji, Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru or Sardar Patel, they were men of many parts. They had a lot of very good qualities. At the same time, they were persons of flesh and blood. And you rightly pointing out, they had Mahत्वाकांक्षा, ambition also. The personal ambition was also there. Anand, one last point. We must
Right.
also remember that we have known, people who work in Jodi, in pair.
Right.
Like, you had Atal Bihari Vajpayee and L.K. Advani. You had Manmohan Singh and Pranab Mukherjee. Now, many of them, these towering personalities, they have differences of opinion and it's been documented. So, therefore, having a differences between Nehru and Patel is not something new. It's very much there.
Right.
And they wrote extensively. They talked about it. But to say that India would have been different and all, we just cannot speculate because it didn't happen. We can speak from our political positions, but I think it is a bit naive and I would say, it's futile also.
Priyam Gandhi Modi, I'm just reading this aspect. In the meantime, another page 142 on the war chest, the money. Now, this is another aspect. Sardar Patel very strongly believed that out of the 400 crore purse, if 75 crore was supposed to be given to Pakistan, if we give that 55 crore, Pakistan will use it to build its war capabilities. That is something that he's quoted. He forcefully argued that if money was given to Pakistan at that time, it would certainly be used to build its war capabilities against India and therefore it should be withheld. He received strong support from Shama Prasad Mukherjee, Mr. Gadgil and also Dr. Ambedkar. And Nehru also agreed. And the cabinet decided to withhold this 55 crore. Gandhi blamed Patel. But then Nehru told Gandhi it's a cabinet decision. The cabinet was against this decision, but Gandhi prevailed and said, I'm going on an indefinite fast if you don't give this 55 crore. Now, had that 55 crore at that time not been given, would Pakistan have had the temerity to attack Balochistan and also the attack soon after? India was subjected to a war and conflict immediately in 47-48. So, these are all questions that remain, and the direction itself. Who had a better vision? Who had a better, clearer thought on how to guide this country between Jawaharlal Nehru and Sardar Patel? Could there have been an alternative? And especially with respect to Jammu and Kashmir and the way that was dealt. Priyam Gandhi Modi.
Good afternoon, good evening, greetings. Thank you for having me on the show. And so I'll begin here. I'm not going to quote, but so for Loh Purush Shri Sardar Patel ji, he has been a true unifier for Indian contemporary history, unlike no other in recent times. I do agree with you, Anandji, that Prime Minister Modi only now we see, is the true inheritor of many of the legacies that Sardar Patel has left behind. But let me go back to the conversation that the panel has been having. When we say true unifier, I'd like to point out that right from the beginning, for party matters, Sardar Patel was the go-to person. When it came to financing, when it came to finding strong men, when it came to talking to provinces and leaders, he was the true unifier. He knew how to raise funds for the party, which any political party needs to operate. Now, just like any other Nepo kid in any big family, Pandit Nehru found first his father lobbying to make him Congress chief. And after his father passed away, he used emotional blackmail as a very legitimate tool with Mahatma Gandhi. He continued to write to Mahatma Gandhi and say that now that I've lost my father, it's just you you make all my decisions, I only trust you. These were legitimate emotional blackmail tools that were being used by any other Nepo kid in any other rich family that we see today. And we see that continuing in our history. The biggest and the most dangerous outcome of this type of privilege has been on our national security.
Okay, Sanjay ji, I'll allow you your rebuttal. Let her make a
dealing
point.
with China,
We may agree, disagree. We may agree, disagree, but please.
I mean, what is this woman's credibility to speak on Indian history? What are her credentials? I demand to know what are her credentials.
Sanjay ji,
Comes across as an ignoramus. To call Pandit Nehru a Nepo kid is shameful.
Sanjay ji,
It's disgusting.
Sanjay ji.
And I demand an
so
apology.
national security implications have been the most dangerous for our country. from what from all of the actions that Pandit Nehru has taken, whether it is the Kashmir issue or whether it is dealing with China. You may remember a series of letters that Sardar Patel has written and communicated to Pandit ji about how the Tibet issue has been mishandled. We thought that Pandit ji thought that Tibet, would allow us, a gap, and that Himalayas would protect us. Unfortunately, his dealing and his camaraderie with China was completely misplaced. China took him for a ride, and today the situation you see, it still carries national consequences for us. Same thing with Kashmir. Hari Singh ji persistently communicated with Sardar Patel. Sardar Patel also communicated with Hari Singh ji through Kriplani ji and through many other Congress leaders. Hari Singh ji repeatedly told Sardar Patel that I want to join the Indian Union, but he was disallowed to do that by Pandit ji because Pandit ji wanted his friend to be made the Prime Minister, Mr. Abdullah. These have had serious national security consequences for our country, and these continue to have these consequences even today. In terms of financing Pakistan, Pakistan has always had a client mentality, client state mentality. It continues to have that mentality even today. You need a unifying leader who can ignite patriotism in the entire country, and unfortunately Pandit ji could never be that because he was always a nepo kid, and that continues in the family.
Right. Okay, Sanjay Jha, response.
Okay, I need to leave, but let me just comment to you that there are 3 members of the right-wing ecosystem on your show, and I'm being generous in not including you as part of this entire blitzkrieg against the Congress to promote the BJP and the RSS. But I need to make this very categorical. You're insulting your viewers by inviting people who are blatantly spreading misinformation, disinformation on historical facts that cannot be challenged. It's not about selective cherry picking. This is a distortion of reality. And I'll give you one example of that. There are so many of them. One of the fundamental truths is that the Hindu Mahasabha, the RSS, had no role to play in India's freedom struggle. There is inferiority complex written all over these 3 faces. They have this frustration, this inferiority complex, which makes them try and look for some wedge where they can find one and say, can I appropriate Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose? Can I appropriate Sardar Patel? Look at the irony of life, Anand, that you have Sardar Patel, who in his Jaipur speech said on 17 December 1947, if they, the youngsters, follow the path which the Sangh has been following, they will be doing a disservice to this country. That is Sardar Patel on 17 December 1947, the year we became independent. His views were as categorical as ever, and this is, by the way, even before Gandhiji's assassination. So I can tell you the bottom line. I can understand the frustration, which is why, can you imagine, the BJP says many of his leaders wanted a statue for Nathuram Godse, but Mr. Modi has no choice. He has to go to Rajghat and bow his head to Gandhiji's statue. Now look at it. Sardar Patel banned the RSS for a climate of hate, distributing sweets for Gandhiji's assassination. But you have to build a statue. These are stalwarts of India's freedom struggle. Right. They are the leaders of the Congress party.
Okay.
Like it or not, these guys had no role to play. Okay. And they are frustrated and they are bitter. They are acrimonious and they are spreading lies.
Sanjay, I'm just going to say one thing, sir. I think the cornerstone of tolerance and the cornerstone of being liberal is to have the ability to listen to all sides. So lies are from your perspective. You have the right to prove it. You are quoting facts from 1947. There are facts from 1949 and 1950 where Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel had a totally different view of the RSS now, which is later, which is not. Because I'll say the fact is that the Congress party today is in bed with the left as part of the larger alliance. But Jawaharlal Nehru was critical of the CPI because he said that the left and the critical CPI were actually backing the imperialists, and he also called them out for backing Jinnah and their and partition. Jawaharlal Nehru said that the left in India, the CPI in India was actually backing Jinnah and against the interests of the country and backing the imperialists. But where is the Congress today? But where is the Congress today? Where is the Congress today, sir? So I'm just saying, sir, history has different perspectives. Let's quote the Hindu Mahasabha in the 1946 Constituent Assembly had an 18% vote share, if my memory serves me right. They were actively in politics at that point in time, and so was Dr. Ambedkar. Dr. Ambedkar, why did he have to move out of and walk out of the Congress party in 1949? Why did he have to walk out of the Congress party in 1949? Why was there different? So there were differences between political leaders also, sir. And did Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru not work to sabotage Dr. Ambedkar's election? That's also chronicled. That's also chronicled. So can Mr. Rahul? So is it? Can I ask this? No. Can I ask this question? Who is Mr. Rahul Gandhi to hold the constitution up today when his own great grandfather works towards destabilizing and ensuring that Dr. Ambedkar lost an election? So sir, like I said, history has to be seen. So I'm saying you can make your point. The idea is, sir, you make your point, sir. But everybody is entitled to their opinion. We may agree to disagree, but let's not try and get unnecessarily personal and talk down other people where it is not required. I credit you with far. No, I credit. You can call. You can, sir. I'm fact checking you just like I'm fact checking everybody else. So I'm asking you, sir. So you have to be open. No, what I choose to do and not, see, that's what I'm saying. Are you going to dictate what I should do and what I should not? Then that's not liberal and that's not tolerant, Sanjay ji. I'm just saying. I credit you with a lot of intelligence, and that's why. Let's just calm down a bit, everybody.
And Anand, for the sake of fact checking, there are references that are there in my book with these letters. Anybody, your viewers can take a look at it. It's called "What If There Was No Congress?"
Yeah.
And I do want to say that history. Because we've had such a long period of Congress rule, history has been written in a certain color. Okay, and I come from the millennial generation. We see history in a very different, in a very impartial way, and I think that is true for an entire generation of people of Bharat today.
Well,
it's not that suddenly everybody has decided
and I'll tell you, sir.
Don't make the millennials.
Okay, no. Whoever.
No.
Sir, don't try and code.
Let's call out anybody spreading fake news.
Please don't use the word saffron so lightly, sir. The saffron is far beyond the BJP or the RSS.
Yeah.
Saffron is integral to Bharat as its
please
ethos.
tell the BJP not to appropriate it.
So please don't. So you are allowing them to appropriate it by calling this saffron, sir. We can have a different point of view. That doesn't mean that it is pro-BJP or pro-RSS or anti-Congress. That's not the case, sir. Yeah. Point is that if you're showing...
Anand, I'll have to leave. I have a show at 2 o'clock.
Sure. Thank you, Sanjay ji. Thank you very much. But we have just 2 more minutes here. Chandrachud Ghosh, quick response. Yeah, 2 more minutes if you can wait, Sanjay ji. It'll be nice. Just 2 more minutes and then we wind up. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, Anand. The righteous indignation of the Congress, whenever their apple cart of fantasy is overturned, it never fails to amuse me. And then the standard playbook tactics label the other person as RSS, as BJP and all. They would always refuse to look into facts and look at the bigger picture. I still don't have the answer to my question as to why Sardar Patel was telling Pandit Nehru categorically that the RSS has nothing to do with Mahatma Gandhi's assassination.
Another point, viewers, we've got to draw this to a close because we've run out of time. But who was the Home Minister at that time? Who was the one who united and brought together most or large part of these 580 riyasats? It was Sardar Patel. And why is it that he was kept out of the entire Kashmir conversation? Especially when the Maharaja Hari Singh was in contact with Sardar Patel. Those questions remain. And would history have charted a different course for Bharat itself? Bharat charted a different course under Sardar Patel itself. There are other aspects too. But for the moment, let's also remember the contribution of this person, along with so many others who have, through their blood, sweat and toil, contributed to making Bharat as it is today. Time for a very, very short break. When we come back, we do a deep dive into the need for a systematic, intensive review by the Election Commission to ensure that illegals don't participate in the voting process of our country. Stay with us.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
तो पिछले साल आज ही के दिन 357 AQI था। 2024 में आज के दिन 357 AQI था और 2023 में आज के दिन 328 AQI था। और मुझे बताते हुए मेरे अपने सभी ऑफिसर साहिबान का मैं धन्यवाद करता हूं जो इन्होंने इतनी मेहनत करी और खास तौर पर पिछले 2 दिन से इतनी बारीकी से कॉरपोरेशन और दिल्ली सरकार एक अच्छी कोऑर्डिनेशन के साथ काम कर रही है। 218 आज AQI हुआ है। हमें उम्मीद है कि आने वाले दिनों में इसको और हम नीचे लेके आएंगे। मैं ये बताना चाहता हूं इसके अलावा, क्योंकि हमें आए हुए अभी 7-8 महीने हुए हैं, हमारे बहुत सारी चीजें अभी प्रोसेस में हैं। हमने दिल्ली के अंदर नए इनोवेशन के माध्यम से बहुत सारी ऐसी चीजों को देखा है जो आने वाले दिनों में पोल्यूशन कम कर पाएंगी। उनके ऊपर IIT दिल्ली के माध्यम से और ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के माध्यम से स्टडी चल रही है। व्हीकलर पोल्यूशन के लिए भी हमने कुछ ऑल्टरनेटिव्स ढूंढे हैं। हमने कहा था पिछले दिनों में, आपको बताया था कि एक इनोवेशन चैलेंज हमारा जो था उसमें 48 एंट्रीज आई है ना, 46 एंट्रीज ऐसी आई हैं जिन्होंने अपने अपने इनोवेशंस बताए हैं, बड़े इनोवेटिव आइडियाज दिए हैं। सरकार 8 महीनों में माननीय रेखा गुप्ता जी की विजनरी थॉट के कारण, उनके रात दिन मेहनत के कारण दिल्ली को तकरीबन 20% नए व्हीकल आने के बावजूद, माफ करना 21% नई कंस्ट्रक्शन होने के बावजूद, 8.5% से 10% नई गाड़ियां आने के बावजूद, इन सभी चुनौतियों के बावजूद कूड़े का ढेर फालतू होने के कारण, क्योंकि पॉपुलेशन बढ़ी है, ये सारी चीज इंक्रीज होने के बावजूद और 15 साल और 10 साल की गाड़ियां भी चल रही हैं और दीपावली भी मनाई गई। इन सब चैलेंजेस के बावजूद पिछले 1 दहाई के 10 सालों के बराबर दिल्ली को बेस्ट AQI एयर क्वालिटी के इंडेक्स की बात करें तो बेस्ट देने में कामयाब हुई है आज की दिल्ली की सरकार। और मैं आपसे आग्रह भी करना चाहता हूं मीडिया के बंधुओं से, जो लोग काम करते हैं बड़ी मेहनत से करते हैं, सेंसेशनल फैलाने के लिए, अपने 4 रीडर्स के दिमाग में अलग सी बात डालने के लिए आपको हमारी मेहनत पे पानी नहीं फेरना चाहिए। मैं आपसे आग्रह करता हूं, आपका योगदान ही हमारा उत्साह को और बढ़ाता है, हमारे अधिकारियों के कर्मचारियों के उत्साह को और बढ़ाता है। तो मैं आपसे आग्रह करना चाहता हूं कि आईने की तरह सच को सामने रखें, बताएं लोगों को। पॉपुलेशन 1 साल में बढ़ने के बावजूद, ट्रैफिक बढ़ने के बावजूद, 10 साल और 15 साल की गाड़ियां लॉ होने के बावजूद, दिल्ली में कंस्ट्रक्शन बढ़ने के बावजूद और दिल्ली के अंदर दीपावली बनाने के बावजूद, दिल्ली की पॉल्यूशन को, दिल्ली
Not just Bihar, the poll panel announced on Monday a 12-state SIR exercise in states that are expected to go to polls in 2026. The shifting demographics has been one of the key areas of concern. While speaking to several locals on the ground, especially in states such as West Bengal, startling details are out on how demographics of this region are shifting, changing. Now, the change has been seen in schools, in markets, almost everywhere. The presence of outsiders is evident and local residents fear losing their identity and influence. It's affecting the local balance. They fear that their names might get deleted from the voter list, but the illegals may remain. We put out data to show how alarming the statistics have been on the shift in demography. In West Bengal in the year 2001, the Hindu population in the year was 5,81,04,835, while in 2011 it became 6,43,85,546, a rise of nearly 10.81% in the Hindu population. The Muslim population saw a much bigger growth from 2,40,40,543 in 2001 to 2,46,54,825. Now, this was a 21.81% increase in Muslim population, whereas the TFR ratio is just 2%. So you do the math, viewers. Let's look at Tamil Nadu. The Hindus were 5,49,85,079 in 2001 and 2011, the population was 6 crore 31 lakh 88,168, a rise of about 14.92%. Muslims rose from 34 lakh 70,647 to 42 lakh 29,479, a rise of 21.86%. Again, much higher than what the TFR ratio is. Now, in Kerala, in 2001, Hindus were 1 crore 78 lakh 83,449. In 2011, the population was 1 crore 82 lakh 82,492, a rise of only 2.23%. The total Muslim population was 78 lakh 63,842 in 2001 and jumped to 88 lakh 73,472 in 2011, a 12.84% rise in Kerala. Again, Kerala is supposed to be one of the lowest TFRs in the country, but look at the disproportionate rise in the Muslim population. Where did these people come from is the big question. In Goa, in 2001, Hindus were 8,86,551 in 2011. The population was 9,63,877, a rise of only 8.72%. Muslim population was 92,210 in 2001. It became 1,21,564 in 2011. Again, nearly a 32% rise. Where did these people come from? Again, another big question. In Uttar Pradesh, Hindu population was 13 crore 39 lakh 79,263 in 2001. In 2011, it became 15 crore 93 lakh 12,654. Muslims rose from 3 crore 7 lakh 40,158 in 2001 to 3 crore 84 lakh 83,967 in 2011, while Hindus rose by 18.91%. Muslim population rose by 25.19%. Again, it's looking disproportionate. Where are these people coming from is another question. In Rajasthan, from 5 crore 1 lakh 51,452 in 2001, Hindus became 6 crore 6 lakh 57,103 in 2011, a rise of nearly 21%. Muslims rose from 47 lakh 88,227 in 2001 to 62 lakh 15,377 in 2011, a rise of nearly 30%. Where is this rise happening, especially when the TFR rates, the fertility rates, the birth rates are not indicative of these numbers mathematically? That's what we're repeatedly saying, viewers. Gujarat, Hindus were 4 crore 51 lakh 43,074 in 2001, 5 crore 35 lakh 33,988 in 2011, rise of nearly 18.58%. Muslims were 45 lakh 92,854 in 2001, 58 lakh 46,761 in 2011, again a rise of nearly 27.3%. Madhya Pradesh, Hindus were 5 crore 50 lakh 4,675 in 2001, became 6 crore 60 lakh 7,121 in 2011, a gain of 20%, while the Muslim population grew by 24.29% from 38 lakh 41,449 to 47 lakh 74,695 between 2001 and 2011. In Chhattisgarh, the Hindus were 1 crore 97 lakh 29,670 in 2001. In 2011, they became 2 crore 38 lakh 19,789, a rise of 20.73%, nearly 21%, but Muslims grew by 25.73% from 4 lakh 9,615 in 2001 to 5 lakh 14,998 in 2011. It's not just the mainland. Look at Andaman Nicobar Islands. The Hindu population grew from 2,46,589 to 2,64,296 between 2001 to 2011, a rise of 7.18%. The Muslim population grew by nearly 11% from 29,265 to 32,413, a rise of 10.76%. Now, Lakshadweep saw Hindu population come down from 2,221 in 2001 to 1,788 in 2011. It was down by 19.5%. Muslims grew from 57,903 in 2001 to 62,268 in 2011, a rise of nearly 7.59%. Puducherry saw 845,449 Hindu population in 2001. 1,089,409 in 2011, a rise of nearly 28.86%. Now, Muslims rose from 59,358 in 2001 to 75,556 in 2011, which was 27.29% up. And that's the reason why Prime Minister Narendra Modi also spoke about the need for a demography mission. This is disproportionate rise. Where are these people coming from? How are they seeding themselves here, embedding themselves? And from 2011, we are in 2026, nearly 16 years, to 2025, 26, nearly 16 years have passed, viewers. And that's the concern.
बड़ा खतरा घुसपैठियों से भी है। देश के भीतर दशकों से विदेशी घुसपैठिए आते रहे, वो देशवासियों के संसाधनों पर कब्जा करते रहे, डेमोग्राफी का संतुलन बिगाड़ते रहे, देश की एकता दांव पर लगाते रहे। लेकिन पुरानी सरकारें इतनी बड़ी समस्या पर आंख मूंदे रही। वोट बैंक की राजनीति के लिए राष्ट्र की सुरक्षा को जानबूझकर खतरे में डाला गया। अब पहली बार देश ने इस बड़े खतरे के खिलाफ भी निर्णायक लड़ाई लड़ने की ठानी है। तो कुछ लोग देश हित से ज्यादा अपने स्वार्थ को ऊपर रख रहे हैं। ये लोग घुसपैठियों को अधिकार दिलाने के लिए राजनीतिक लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं।
This is a clear and present problem that underlines the importance of a systematic, intensive revision and review by the Election Commission, and let's just hope it's the citizens who get the right to vote, not otherwise. Thank you for watching this edition of The Right Stand. Namaste.
This is News18 Network. India's largest news network.
तो पिछले साल आज ही के दिन 357 AQI था। 2024 में आज के दिन 357 AQI था और 2023 में आज के दिन 328 AQI था। और मुझे बताते हुए मेरे अपने सभी ऑफिसर साहिबान का मैं धन्यवाद करता हूं जो इन्होंने इतनी मेहनत करी और खास तौर पर पिछले 2 दिन से इतनी बारीकी से कॉरपोरेशन और दिल्ली सरकार एक अच्छी कोऑर्डिनेशन के साथ काम कर रही है। 218 आज AQI हुआ है। हमें उम्मीद है कि आने वाले दिनों में इसको और हम नीचे लेके आएंगे। मैं ये बताना चाहता हूं इसके अलावा, क्योंकि हमें आए हुए अभी 7-8 महीने हुए हैं, हमारे बहुत सारी चीजें अभी प्रोसेस में हैं। हमने दिल्ली के अंदर नए इनोवेशन के माध्यम से बहुत सारी ऐसी चीजों को देखा है जो आने वाले दिनों में पोल्यूशन कम कर पाएंगी। उनके ऊपर IIT दिल्ली के माध्यम से और ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के माध्यम से स्टडी चल रही है। व्हीकलर पोल्यूशन के लिए भी हमने कुछ ऑल्टरनेटिव्स ढूंढे हैं। हमने कहा था, पिछले दिनों में आपको बताया था कि एक इनोवेशन चैलेंज हमारा जो था उसमें 48 एंट्रीज आई है ना, 46 एंट्रीज ऐसी आई हैं जिन्होंने अपने अपने इनोवेशंस बताए हैं, बड़े इनोवेटिव आइडियाज दिए हैं। सरकार 8 महीनों में माननीय रेखा गुप्ता जी की विजनरी थॉट के कारण, उनके रात दिन मेहनत के कारण दिल्ली को तकरीबन 20% नए व्हीकल आने के बावजूद, माफ करना 21% नई कंस्ट्रक्शन होने के बावजूद, 8.5% से 10% नई गाड़ियां आने के बावजूद, इन सभी चुनौतियों के बावजूद कूड़े का ढेर फालतू होने के कारण, क्योंकि पॉपुलेशन बढ़ी है, ये सारी चीज इंक्रीज होने के बावजूद और 15 साल और 10 साल की गाड़ियां भी चल रही हैं और दीपावली भी मनाई गई। इन सब चैलेंजेस के बावजूद पिछले एक दहाई के 10 सालों के बराबर दिल्ली को बेस्ट AQI एयर क्वालिटी इंडेक्स की बात करें तो बेस्ट देने में कामयाब हुई है आज की दिल्ली की सरकार। और मैं आपसे आग्रह भी करना चाहता हूं मीडिया के बंधुओं से, जो लोग काम करते हैं बड़ी मेहनत से करते हैं, सेंसेशनल फैलाने के लिए, अपने 4 रीडर्स के दिमाग में अलग सी बात डालने के लिए आपको हमारी मेहनत पे पानी नहीं फेरना चाहिए। मैं आपसे आग्रह करता हूं, आपका योगदान ही हमारा उत्साह को और बढ़ाता है, हमारे अधिकारियों के कर्मचारियों के उत्साह को और बढ़ाता है। तो मैं आपसे आग्रह करना चाहता हूं कि आईने की तरह सच को सामने रखें, बताएं लोगों को, पॉपुलेशन 1 साल में बढ़ने के बावजूद, ट्रैफिक बढ़ने के बावजूद, 10 साल और 15 साल की गाड़ियां लॉ होने के बावजूद, दिल्ली में कंस्ट्रक्शन बढ़ने के बावजूद और दिल्ली के अंदर दीपावली बनाने के बावजूद, दिल्ली की पॉल्यूशन को, दिल्ली को हवा को साफ करने में पिछले सालों के मुताबिक दिल्ली सरकार कामयाब हुई। जैसे मैंने कहा, ये हिस्टोरिकल है, 218 इस बार है, जबकि पिछली बार 357 था, 30% मोर, लगभग 33% ज्यादा था इस साल से, इस दिन से। और उससे पिछले साल की बात करूं तो 30% ज्यादा था। और आज हम जब बात कर रहे हैं, अगर 30% पोल्यूशन गाड़ियां बढ़ने पे, कंस्ट्रक्शन बढ़ने पे, 10 साल और 15 साल की बैन खुलने पे, दिवाली मनाने के बावजूद अगर हम कामयाब हुए हैं, तो ये उपलब्धि जो है हमारे कर्मचारियों के, अधिकारियों के और हमारी माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी के विजन के कारण ही संभव हुआ है। मैं आपका धन्यवाद करता हूं। आपका कोई सवाल हो तो बताएं। डिस्प्ले बोर्ड की हमारी जानकारी में आया था, उस डिस्प्ले बोर्ड को ठीक करा दी ना जहांगीरपुरी। तो अब आप देखेंगे तो एक डिस्प्ले बोर्ड में था, एक डिस्प्ले बोर्ड का एक पोर्शन नहीं दिख रहा था, उसको ठीक कर दिया गया। जहां तक AQI के लिए मॉनिटरिंग पानी की बात है, बिल्कुल पानी दिल्ली के अंदर मैक्सिमम हम स्प्रिंकलर के माध्यम से डस्ट मिटिगेशन का काम कर रहे हैं। और ये
Good evening. You're watching Brass Tacks with me, Poonam Burde. Less than a week to go before the first vote is cast in Bihar, and both alliances have framed their campaigns around aspirations of 7 crore Bihari voters. Days after the Mahagathbandhan announced poll stops or its manifesto for these elections, today it was the NDA's turn. They released their manifesto or their Sankalp Patra. The popular MY combination, as we've heard both in Bihar and in Uttar Pradesh, seems to now have a new meaning: Mahila and Youth. Both camps have concentrated their promises on these very sections. It's a war of Tejaswi's Pran Patra versus NDA's Sankalp Patra. Both alliances have made a list of 25 promises, or at least those are the highlights, some of which talk about jobs. The Mahagathbandhan has promised jobs to a member of every family in Bihar, a government job within 20 days of forming government. The NDA, meanwhile, has promised 1 crore jobs and employment opportunities along with a skill-based census every year. The opposition's Pran Patra also mentions 30,000 monthly salary for Jeevika Didis, the women associated with a World Bank-aided rural project. On the other hand, the NDA has promised financial assistance of up to 2 lakh rupees to women under its Lakpati Didi scheme. The Mahagathbandhan has committed to making all contractual and outsourced workers permanent, as opposed to the NDA, which has assured a life insurance of up to 4 lakh rupees to auto drivers, taxi and e-rickshaw drivers. One of the salient points listed in the opposition's manifesto is reverting to the old pension scheme for government employees, a demand that was coming in from different parts of the country, a promise that was made by several other Congress governments as well. The NDA Sankalp Patra, on the other hand, has a vast list of educational schemes, including 5,000 crore investment to revamp district-level schools with an aim to establish Education City. Alongside that, 2,000 rupee monthly assistance to students of scheduled caste section, 10 lakh rupees for those from the EBC section. The Mahagathbandhan has promised about 2,500 monthly assistance to poor women, while NDA has promised the establishment of Bihar as South Asia's textile and skill hub. So whose promises are really going to resonate?
अति पिछड़ा वर्ग को आर्थिक और सामाजिक बल देना, अति पिछड़ा वर्ग के विभिन्न समूह को 10 लाख रुपए की सहायता देंगे एवं जो सबसे महत्वपूर्ण है कि हम सुप्रीम कोर्ट के रिटायर्ड जज की अध्यक्षता में एक उच्च स्तरीय समिति का गठन करेंगे जो अति पिछड़ा वर्ग की विभिन्न जातियों के सामाजिक आर्थिक स्थिति का आकलन करके इन जातियों को सशक्तिकरण के लिए न्यायोचित कदम उठाने का सरकार को सुझाव देगी।
एनडीए के लोगों को सॉरी पत्र लाना चाहिए और बिहार के 14 करोड़ जनता से सॉरी बोलना चाहिए था कि 20 साल से भी राज करने के बाद भी सबसे गरीब राज्य बिहार।
Now, big ticket promises have been made by both sides, but they come with big costs. Bihar, which is a developing state, was once called Bimaru by many, may not be able to handle that cost if they were to actually fructify. NDA's Sankalp Patra and the promises in it could add an estimated 36,892 crore rupees to the state's fiscal burden. While the NDA's package focuses on farmers and rural households, the Mahagathbandhan has trained its sights on women voters through a large-scale cash transfer program. Bihar will need to mobilize close to 60,000 crore rupees in additional resources to fund the slew of schemes that have been promised by the Mahagathbandhan in their manifesto. Where is this money coming from? Here's why those figures are concerning. Bihar's fiscal deficit for the financial year of 2026 is pegged at 32,718 crore. That's 3% of the gross state domestic product, less than the cost of the new commitments that have been made. To put the magnitude or the gravity of the situation in perspective, the state's capital outlay is at about 40,532 crore. That is only marginally higher than the cost that's expected to be of the welfare measures that the NDA has announced. It's far lower than the Mahagathbandhan's expected cost, which is at 60,000 crores. So where is the fiscal room? Is there any elbow room at all? Well, analysts believe that this leaves limited fiscal space for fresh investment or for social sector expansion, and yet both sides have made the promises that they have.
देखिए, महागठबंधन का काम सिर्फ और सिर्फ हम लोगों की नीतियों, हम लोगों को घेरने का, व्यक्तिगत प्रहार करने का सिर्फ इसी उद्देश्य से रह गया। एक बार पूछ के बता दीजिए तेजस्वी जी से, जब वो कहते हैं कि हर परिवार को सरकारी नौकरी देंगे, प्रभु कैलकुलेट तो कीजिए, कैसे दीजिएगा?
कहाँ से देंगे? कहाँ से देंगे? पैसा कहाँ से लाएंगे? किसके बाप के घर से लाएंगे? कुछ आता है जी? तो बताए हैं कि 1 करोड़ कहाँ से देंगे? हम लोग जब किए थे 10 लाख सरकारी नौकरी देंगे, तो हम लोगों ने तो दे के दिखा दिया।
Let's open this up. Kuntal Krishna, spokesperson of Bihar BJP, Anshula Vijit, spokesperson of the Congress, and Shekhar Iyer, senior journalists, are now with us. Kuntal Krishna, let me begin by asking you. The Mahagathbandhan says that they have first movers advantage because you pretty much have taken a leaf out of what they have promised in their manifesto. Free electricity, they said up to 200 units, you said 250. They came up with a scheme for Jivika Didis, you came up with something for Lakpati Didis. It's merely a copy-paste job, but they came out with it first, so they may have advantages, what they believe.
Poonam, what we promised today is in continuation of, it is in continuation with what we have done for last 2 decades. When we talk about building bigger infrastructure, we have proved in last 20 years that we are in a position to build a